Today on Superlift's Off-Road Adventures, we're back in Hot Springs, Arkansas, finishing up our coverage from the Superlift Spring 4x Adventure. And Trent's taking the budget buggy down south for a payoff at the Gray Rock ORV Park in Gardendale, Alabama. So sit right there and stay put, because it's all coming up next.
Well, we thought the day would never come, but today Trent's wrapping up with the budget buggy and he's heading down south for an unbelievable payoff at the Gray Rock ORV Park in Mount Olive, Alabama. We're also finishing up our coverage of the Superlift 4x Adventure in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So let's hurry to the garage where Trent's about to put the lid on Project Budget Buggy.
Well, at long last, we are down to the nitty-gritty little details on Project Budget Buggy. Now, obviously, I still have to do some work on the dash. We've been steadily whittling away at that. Once that's completed, I can finish up all this wiring. But we are to a point where I can fill out the rest of the interior. Now, obviously, Budget Buggy is all about function. There's very little in the way of bells and whistles here. But even the most Spartan of off-road rigs must have a place to sit, and that is what we are going to tackle today. Now, when it comes to off-road rigs, there's only one name you need to remember in terms of seating, and that is Mastercraft. For over 20 years, these guys have been building high-quality seats, and in fact, the owner of the company currently campaigns his own race truck in the Score Desert Series. Now, Mastercraft offers several different styles of racing seats, some of which even recline. But these are their Rubicon seats. Now, they offer brackets to allow them to be direct bolt-in replacements for YJs and TJs. But the key to the Rubicon seats, as well as the rest of Mastercraft seating, is their patented suspension design. You see, they have some give in them, which is important with all the beating and banging that you do off-road. With some of those lightweight drag racing seats, they don't have this give, and you could end up hurting yourself. Plus, they also have these high bolsters that allow you to stay in the seat when you're side hilling, and they even have an adjustable lumbar support. Trust me, when you're sitting in these things, they fit you like a glove. Of course, seating is only half of the overall safety equation. You also have to have some way of restraining yourself within that seat. Now, lap belts are not near enough for the kind of off-roading that Budget Buggy is going to be doing. And OE-style shoulder belts, well, they're just plain annoying if you get them anywhere off of level. So the best option is full-on racing harnesses, which are also offered by Mastercraft. Now, these are a true 4-point harness, and we even got them with the ends that snap to the anchors on the frames. All we do is unclip them, and then we can hose out the entire interior. Now, along with the harnesses, the seats are available in a variety of different colors. And lastly, because Budget Buggy is rarely, if ever, going to have a top on it, also got a pair of their seat savers. Now, these just slip over the seats, and they are waterproof, and that way the seats remain high and dry for the next morning. Well, I already got all the holes drilled and everything, so let's get these puppies bolted in. Oh yeah, nice and secure, but best of all, very, very comfortable. These will be perfect for a long day out on the trail. Now, up until this point, I'll bet a lot of you guys have been assuming that Budget Buggy is a two-seater. Not so. Now, Mastercraft does offer a replacement rear seat for certain Jeeps, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too wide to fit this chassis. So, we turned to Bestop for one of their high-quality OE replacement rear seats. Now, this one is for a CJ. Now, it folds and tumbles and does everything that a factory seat should, but unfortunately, it does not match the front seat. But luckily, Mastercraft also offers these slip covers designed to go over the factory seats. Now, these are made out of the same high-quality materials as the rest of Mastercraft seating. Let's get this thing wrestled on and into the chassis. Oh yeah, very nice. Now, admittedly, this is pretty much a kids-only kind of affair, but hey, when you need a seat, you need a seat. And now, a moment I have been waiting for a long time. Time to get rid of these junky old tires and wheels. You guys are gonna like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the finest beadlock wheel ever made. Now, Poison Spider Customs is rapidly becoming legendary for their hardcore off-road parts, but they've recently upped the ante once again with a brand new set of beadlocks that I feel set a new standard in how a beadlock should be made. Now, it starts with a conventional 5-spoke wheel, but that's also carried out into this lock ring. Now, this thing is huge. It is 3/4 of an inch thick of solid aluminum. That's held in place with these recessed Allen head fasteners, so they're not going to get beat up by obstacles. Now, this thing is massive, including its 3,200-pound load rating. Now, that's more than enough for a full-size pickup and pretty much overkill for a lightweight buggy like this one, but hey, I'd rather have too much strength than not enough. Now, as for the tires, these are BFG's Crawler TAs. Now, the size is a 37, 12, 50, 17, and of course, the beadlocks are 17 inches to match. Now, Poison Spider also makes 18 and 20-inch versions of this same wheel. But to truly appreciate just how beefy these beadlocks are, you need to see how they go together. As you can see, the wheel has a recess in it that the bead must slightly expand and fit around. Now, this is superior to other designs which simply pinch and expand the bead as you clamp down the ring. The ring itself has this serrated edge on it to firmly grab that bead. There's no chance that this tire is going to spin on the wheel, let alone peel out. Now, the lock ring itself is held in place with 24 stainless steel fasteners. I mean, you can see how thick these flanges are. This whole wheel is absolutely incredible. Let's get this last one mounted up. We should be good to go. Well, believe it or not, this pretty well wraps things up for Project Budget Buggy. We have some wicked tires and wheels, some very comfortable seats, plus, of course, a whole lot more. Now, I am still waiting on the hood and the side panels from the paint shop, and I still have to tackle that dash, but that shouldn't be that big of a deal. The next time you see this buggy, we're going to be out on the trails and test it out just to see what it can do. I don't know about you, but I can't wait. There's one problem, though. So far, I can get it to crank, but it won't run. Definitely needs to run before we hit those trails.
Wow, Trent, it looks like you built quite a rig there in Budget Buggy. I know I can't wait to see how it performs on the trail. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we're back in Hot Springs, finishing up our coverage from the Superlift Spring 4x Adventure. Welcome back. Let's hurry and get over to the Superlift ORV Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where some Big Daddy rigs are about to get crazy. It's time once again for the Spring 4x Adventure at the Superlift ORV Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Many off-road enthusiasts have traveled to Hot Springs this weekend to push the limits of their rigs against the park's wicked terrain. For today's trail ride, we teamed up with veteran off-roader John Lloyd as he led a group of big-wheeled rigs out to take on some of the park's most notorious trails. We gathered our group together and took off. The first stop on our journey was along a trail simply called Ravine. John Lloyd and his infamous YJ Scrangler are no strangers to the park's trails, and this rig knows how to punish the rocks of Hot Springs. With a little maneuvering, he makes this climb look effortless as he crawls his way toward the top of the obstacle. This orange YJ came out to prove it can hang with this crew of crawlers as it makes its way up and around these monstrous rocks. This tricked-out Blazer is one bad machine. Fortunately, you can't do much crawling without any air in the tires. Luckily, the co-driver was right on top of things as she managed to patch the hole in no time at all. Now that's what we call teamwork. Man, that's one good-looking rig. This buggy wasn't afraid to take on whatever obstacles stood in its way. We caught up with the owner and driver, and he gave us a little more info on this outstanding rig.
Sean Gibson out of Broken Bow, Oklahoma. My chassis was built by Jimmy's 4x4 in Cortez, Colorado. I purchased it last year, and this is about all sixth time actually. I just had to rig out, and it's performing pretty good. It's just a little wet this weekend. We're having a little hard time, but all in all, it's a pretty nice rig.
See where that big dugout hole at the bottom is? You'll be past it with your back tires when you start climbing. What you want to do is climb your left tire. The big old rock sticking out there with kind of facing like this. Climb to the left of it like that. And once you get past that, punch it. You don't want that rear end to slide over there in that rock, because that rock will catch it and hold you back.
I think it's going to be a tough one. We'll try it though. See what we can do. I don't know, I think it's pretty tough. We're going to have to wait and let her dry up a little bit. Maybe we'll try it then. I don't think it's going to work now though. Give her the best shot.
As it approached high noon, we made our way down the trails for a standoff with Outlaw. Hey, John, why don't you fill us in on what it takes to outsmart an outlaw?
Today it's wet and muddy. There will be no finesse. There will be no rock crawling. It's going to be all speed and horsepower.
Now, here's a sight you don't see every day. John Lloyd Scrangler on its side. It looks like you may have given her just a little too much horsepower, John.
Little accident. Bad bounce. Bad bounce.
It's another day. Not much different than the other times. Kind of dented your
I know, again.
bar a little.
Oh, well, we're all right. That's all that counts.
Well, after we had it out with Outlaw, we moved on to Vertical Challenge. Once again, we sought the wheeling wisdom of John Lloyd to find out exactly how one conquers Vertical Challenge.
We're about to attempt vertical. The hardest part of the obstacle is right in front of us. I think today I may crawl it.
Well, John sure made that climb look easy. However, not every rig was able to take on the challenge with such ease. This Suzuki Samurai took a brutal beating trying to make it past this first set of rocks and ended up breaking its rear axle shaft. Hey guys, tell us what you think of Vertical Challenge.
It was fun. A little too much skinny pedal, I think. I was trying to poke it, it wouldn't go. I think we're done for the weekend. Now you got to put me on TV because I did that.
You got it, guys. What's an axle shaft anyway for a shot at 15 seconds of fame? Better luck next time. We decided to call it quits after this one. Our special thanks to John Lloyd and Company for letting us in on their trail ride. We'd also like to thank Superlift and all the folks around the park for making this year's Spring 4x Adventure one to remember. Don't go anywhere. When we return, Trent's taking the finished budget buggy down south for a payoff that's nothing short of spectacular. Welcome back to Superlift's Off-Road Adventures. Let's head over to Mount Olive, Alabama, where Trent's about to take the budget buggy on its maiden crawling voyage.
Well, guys, one of our most ambitious projects to date has been Project Budget Buggy. It has been a long road, but here we are at the Grey Rock ORV Park. Now, it's kind of a wet and muggy day, but I'm proud to say that Budget Buggy is here and it's done. Check it out. Budget Buggy started out as a wadded up 97 Jeep Wrangler. Now, it was pretty well used up, but it had several key parts that we reused. We started with an AFW Motorsports chassis, and from there, we bolted on Superlift's long arm 4-inch lift system. Now, the stock front axle was retained, but beefed up with several parts from Yukon Axle and Gear, along with 488 gears. Out back, we installed a Ford 8.8 from Clemson 4-Wheel Center that was also loaded with an Eaton E-Locker and 488s to match the front. Now, the stock 6-cylinder engine was retained along with the 5-speed transmission, but we did splurge on a brand new Atlas 4-speed transfer case, JE reel drive shafts, transfer power from the case out to the axles. And that's really the meat to this whole project, and that's what I like about it. It's simple. Now, we've retained the factory Jeep grille along with the fiberglass hood from Christner Motorsports. And of course, we have our 37-inch BFG crawlers that we covered in our last segment. Now, the inside is all utilitarian. We've got a pair of Mastercraft seats, a lot of aluminum, and very little else. I need to hop in this thing and show you a little bit more about the transfer case. Now, I mentioned there was something special about this transfer case. Now, these two sticks operate just like a conventional Atlas. All the way back is high range, all the way forward is low range. Now, the two sticks actually will control the front and rear axles independently of one another. That means that I can kick out the front of the rear if I need to do a front or rear burn. The tricky part is this extra lever right here. Now, this is a secondary low range, and when it's all the way forward, it's in 1-to-1. But when I pull it back, it's now in 272-to-1. Now, I can combine this 272 with the 2-to-1 in the regular transfer case for a total of 544. Basically, all this really means is I have virtually unlimited gearing to accommodate any situation. Now, all this talk is well and good, but we're out here in the field. I am ready to see what this thing can do. Let's go. Budget Buggy's stance is exactly what I was looking for. It's low and wide. Now, the width can hurt you in certain situations, but it really helps in off-camber obstacles. And you know what? I'd rather feel more stable in off-camber situations than struggle with it a little bit when it comes to tight spots. The Superlift 4-inch long arm system is simply amazing. It has tons of flex, but it's not at all tippy, even without sway bars. The overall feel to Budget Buggy is hard to describe. It feels light, but yet it feels sure-footed in virtually any situation. Even though there's not a whole lot of weight out back, even when you're going downhill, it feels sure-footed and stable. I couldn't ask for more in terms of gearing on Budget Buggy. Now, it has the stock 6-cylinder engine, which is decent in terms of power and torque, but thanks to the double low range, I can put it in exactly the right gear for the situation. Well, so far I could not be more pleased with Budget Buggy. The Superlift suspension is working absolutely amazing. This thing is stable as can be, even without sway bars. Everything about this Jeep I like. I mean, it's low, it's wide, I can see the tires. That's a really unexpected thing for me. I can see exactly where almost every tire is at any time. Matter of fact, all I have to do is turn around and look behind me, and I can see exactly what the back tire is on. This thing feels amazing. So far, so good. You know, not bad for a rolled TJ. Well, as you can tell, we have been having a lot of fun with Project Budget Buggy here at the Grey Rock ORV Park. Now, these 37-inch BFG crawlers hook up amazingly well. And these Poison Spider Customs beadlocks, well, we've been running these tires at about 6 pounds of air all weekend long and have yet to peel a bead. Now, as for weight, which was my big concern, well, to be honest with you, we ended up a little bit over, right about 3,600 pounds with me in it. I was hoping for around 3,000, but you know what? 3,600 is still a heck of a lot less than a full-body Jeep. So, most importantly, did we accomplish our goal? Well, to be honest with you, I cannot lie. Budget Buggy ended up a little bit over budget, but you know what? You'd be hard-pressed to build something like this and not end up a little bit over budget yourself, no matter what that budget might be. But in terms of capability, Budget Buggy was exactly what I was looking for. This thing can keep up with the big dogs around here that sometimes have double and even triple the amount of money that we have in this thing. Basically, it's capable of tackling just about any trail. Now, speaking of which, there was a trail I caught a glimpse of right over here. I think I need a piece of that action.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the Budget Buggy is well worth the wait. Something tells me you'll be seeing a lot more of this rig in the future. When we get back, Trent's got your tip of the week, so stay tuned.
When plumbing up a new engine or doing things like converting an old carbureted engine to fuel injection, sometimes it can be a real challenge to find the fittings that you need for things like the heater hoses and oil pressure gauge, because generally the parts store selection on that stuff is pretty limited. Well, you should know that the fluid passages on most domestic engines are actually National Pipe Thread, or NPT, and that means there's a wide selection of places you can go to find the fittings you need. A hardware store is a good choice, but one that not everyone thinks of is a good hydraulic shop. They generally have an excellent selection of fittings, including stuff like oddball reducer bushings and 45-degree adapters. Now granted, not all this stuff looks exactly full race, but then again, most of us are after function rather than form.
We're also wrapping up our coverage.
An amazingly capable vehicle that's, crap.
We're studying a little bit. John's trying to pick out the right line for him.
I think you're making it.